Cracking, everybody? New video. It's actually a recycled video. Um, one of my hopefully he's a subscriber, but one of the viewers of the channel the other day asked me to redo a video that I did probably 2 years ago, and I guess I took it down. I wasn't aware I took it down. I don't know why I would have taken that one down, but so here I go again. So this happened in I want to say, okay, it started in 1995 in New Folsom on B Yard, and there was a dude, and he was from the SGV, and this dude was a monster, yoked the fuck up, had a reputation having major hands, known to knock a lot of people out, in the county during the riots and all this stuff. And man, I used to like that guy a lot. He was older than me, and he used to tell me all the time, "Hey, homie, don't even trip. I'm your bodyguard." Like, he took a liking to me. I always liked the dude, and he had done something on the yard. He had handled something, and it put him in a position where he was collecting something, and unfortunately, his addiction and greediness got the best of him. And so it was decided that, he had to go, right? And so it was a yard recall, and he was shaking somebody's hand. And a friend of mine, another friend of mine, slid up behind him and got to booking him, right? Started whacking him. He went for his heart and everything. Went for his left armpit, and he moved on him. Boop, boop, boop. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on how you view it, the piece he had wasn't very good, and which was crazy because when you're moving on somebody with that type of reputation and skills, you usually not going to give somebody something that's not good. But then again, maybe he had said, hey, don't worry about it, I have my own. And anyway, so he moved on him, boop, 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 and then he backed off. And the dude, and they were both from the SGV, but the dude that got whacked turned around and saw who it was, and he was like, all right, boom. And like I said, it was yard recall, and they lived in the same building. They went in the building, and the dude that got hit, made it to the cell, patched himself up. And at chow time, the dude that got hit was sitting at a table in the next row to the dude that hit him. Like, so they're basically side by side. And when they called the tables for the guy that got whacked, they called his tables, his row. He got up and he jumped on the dude that had moved on him, right? And he beat the fuck out of him. And they went to the cages. What happened was they didn't do, I believe it's 7219. They didn't do the medical inspection on them. They thought it was just a fist fight. Went to the hole. They both went to the hole. And at your 24-hour review, the sergeant noticed that there was no 7219. So they both were pulled out. Then they saw that he had a bunch of holes on him. And so my friend, Shanky was his name, the one the hitter, Shanky got charged with attempted murder, for the pegada. He wound up, a lot of shit. Like, I'm going to skip a lot of shit that happened in the hole where, shit was crazy back then, man. And, he got into some stuff back there, doing things and shot at. And, but he 602'd it, filed an inmate appeal, and He went all the way to Pelican Bay, got found guilty of everything, got all the way to Pelican Bay, won his appeal. He was in Pelican Bay for, I believe it was like a week or two, got put back on the bus and sent back to B-Yard, New Folsom with us. And I remember when he got his property, I went with him to go pick up his property. We went and got his box, came back, and we were standing at the table, and he told us, he goes, hey, you know what, Holmes? He goes, I'm going to tell you guys something. And he goes, you know, so-and-so, you know, the dude he hit, he goes, you know what? He did what he did, and, you know, he is wherever he's at now. He said, but you know what? He was righteous for what he did to me that day. And nobody knew what really happened. You know, I mean, they knew he, you know, the dude that got hit put it on Shanky, you know, but not the way he could have. And he said, he goes, look, he goes, that dude got me. He goes, there was nothing I could do. He goes, you know, he lit me up. He goes, but he whispered in my ear, hey, homie, the next time you do a pegada, you take a motherfucker to the dirt and you don't let up. He told him, I could have killed you right now. Then he let go of him, you know, and he never saw him again. And Shanky told us right there on that table, he said, I'm telling you, vatos, right now, I give you my palabra. The next time that I do a pegada, he goes, everybody's going to hear about it. He goes, the fucking world's going to hear about it. Watch. He goes, I learned a lesson. He goes, the homie taught me a lesson. He goes, I learned a lesson. So we're like, yeah, you know, whatever. You know, time went by, and then in 1996, you know, just a few months after, the big riot happened on B-Yard in New Folsom, right? And one of Shanky's really, really good camaradas happened to be at the bottom of the yard, the bottom of the handball court, which was referred to back then as Blood Alley, right? Him and one other dude were in Blood Alley. And the Bloods they were no joke, you know? And they were the only two dudes down there. They, you know, the way that everything jumped, it jumped, you know, the way things do. You know, you have a plan, and, you know, then something happens and people get caught flat-footed and they just pull their shit out and go. So what happened was Shanky decided, I'm going to run across the yard and I'm going to go help my camarada. Those ones are outnumbered. I mean, it was a massacre everywhere, but those two were not having their way, you know, not like, you know, the other parts of the yard. So long story short, on his way there, the cops killed him. They shot him in his, I believe it was his right butt cheek. The bullet, you know, it's a .223 round. And so it spins. They have these spinners they use. But anyways, it hit his hip bone and went across his chest, severed his aorta, and nobody knew. So he was one of the people the yard went crazy over that. You know, the raza went nuts over that. But then they had to stop because they were like, hold on, we got to get it. They got to get him off the yard. So he was the first person that was taken off the yard. And, you know, there was going to be a lot of, I was already in the oil for a thing with the Vatos from Fresno, shout out to Fresno, but I went a few months before that riot for an incident that occurred with the Vatos from Fresno. So us in the hole, we were all pissed about it, right? We were hearing different things, that they shot him in the head on purpose. So we were going to actually start whacking juras in the back. And 2 juras came to the back. One came to my cell. One went to my neighbor's cell. And they told us what really happened. They were the 2 that actually escorted him off the yard. And when he was being escorted off the yard, when he was waiting for the slider to open so it could go into B control, he looked at the jura and he said, hey, did I get shot? And the jura said, yeah. And he asked the jura, where'd I get shot at? And he goes, they shot you in the ass. And he goes, all right. And he said he closed his eyes and put his head back. And they just looked away. And when they looked back at him, he was white as a sheet. He was dead already. And I always remembered that. Like immediately when they said, yeah, Shanky they killed Shanky, I remembered that, man. That he had said, you know, that's why I always tell you guys, man, in my videos and in my lives, man, be careful what words you put out in the universe, you know. Because your conscious as well as your subconscious mind are gonna do everything they can to make what you're putting out in the world your reality, you know. He was 21 years old when he got killed by the cops. And he had said, the next pegada that I do, the whole world's going to hear about it. And he got killed on his way to go be side by side with his close camarada, you know, live or die right there in Blood Alley on B Yard in New Folsom. And unfortunately, he died in the middle of the yard by himself. This knife in his hand. And like I said, 21 years old. We were pissed, man, but you know, that's the way prison is. You know, that's the shit that happens. And that's the kind of heart that people have in there. You know, I'm gonna run across this motherfucking yard and I'm gonna go help my friend or die in the process. And he did, you know. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep this one short, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I want to say, and this probably isn't the type of video you say it in, but I was just blessed with the knowledge that now there's basically a super chat. It's called a super thanks that I'm able to put on every video now on my channel, you know. So if you feel like giving a super thanks, super thank you right back. But there it is there, man. Don't forget, you guys be safe, be good, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out.